Welcome, everyone, to the Secret of Oneness. And tonight I'm going to do the third part in the series of Mastering Duality. So, those of you who have not seen part one or part two, I will link part one up here above. You need to see the first two parts to understand this part. Maybe not necessarily, but it kind of all goes as kind of a theme to kind of show you each section. And this one's going to show you how you're renamed as I am. So I'll also link part two up here, and you can check that out. So again, you guys all know me because we are all one. For those who are still asleep, I'm Stephen. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the quote here from Neville Goddard. If you've watched part one and part two, you've heard this quote. It's the same quote because it's dealing with the duality of man. So duality is an inherent condition of life. Everything that exists is double. Man is a dual creature with contrary principles embedded in his nature. They war within him and present attitudes to life which are antagonistic. This conflict is the eternal enterprise, the war in heaven, the never-ending struggle of the younger or the inner man of imagination to assert his supremacy over the elder or the outer man of senses. So he's talking about the duality here, about the inner man and the imagination trying to exert itself as the supremacy over the outer man, the carnal man, the man of the senses, the five physical senses. And so I'm going to talk here about Genesis 32, verses 27 and 28. For those of you who have ever read the story about Jacob in the Bible, about where he wrestles with a man, this is what I'm talking about. I'm giving you the metaphysical version, the metaphorical version, an analogy, however you want to look at it. But I'm using this to show you who you are. Because remember, when you manifest something, you're not actually creating it with techniques. You're actually experiencing who you are being. And who you are being is your identity. And again, this is why the Bible is the master book. For those who are not religious, I would still encourage you to read it because the Bible just is like a master book because it talks about your identity and who you are. A lot of people use it for the heaven and hell and the good and evil and all the religious stuff, which is just garbage. But if you read it to understand who you are, there's so much profound stuff in there. And if you already understand that that you are the Christ within and God is within you, and you read the scriptures from that perspective and that it's about your identity, it makes way more sense. There's a lot of things in there where they talk about Jesus will say this or say that, and you can right away know he's talking about your conscious awareness. Okay. So let's just move on. So Genesis 32, 27 and 28. So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God and with men and have prevailed." So what does this sound like? This sounds like somebody has just entered the state of the wish fulfilled, which is where we all strive to be when we're trying to, again, manifest. We're trying to step into that state of that identity of that person. And a lot of people can struggle with that. And so this is why I'm teaching it from this perspective. I want you to see it from a biblical perspective to where it's kind of gives you the analogy and the story behind it to help you transition into that identity. A lot of people will just say, affirm 100 times or do these techniques and do this. And the people get stuck because they're trying to do something outside of themselves. This is all internal. And I hope that as I give you metaphors and I explain things like this, that the light bulb will go on, you'll understand it. So verse 27, it says, so he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Okay. Now name in Hebrew, it means character. A primitive word, perhaps rather than sum, though the idea of definite and conspicuous, which means it stands out or it's visible. So your name is essentially referring to your character. It's the idea of definite and conspicuous that stands out and visible. Jacob, the name Jacob means to supersede or replace or to take over. Okay? So Jacob wrestled with a man in part 2. So go back and watch that. Verse 28. Then he said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God and with men and have prevailed. So again, the name means character. The word anymore, when it says your name shall no longer, also in the Hebrew it means anymore, which means continuance, or persistence. So you shall no longer continue or be persistent as Jacob. It's important to understand that, because sometimes you read this stuff and you say, well, your name is no longer Jacob, but there's a deeper meaning if you pay attention. So Jacob again means, it's actually the word supplanter, which means supersede or replace. Now here's where it becomes very interesting. And I need you to really pay attention to this because this is important. Israel comes from the word Sarael. Okay, Sarael. And that word means he will rule as God. So Jacob, his name was changed from the superseder or the replacer, which is what Jacob means. And his name was changed to he will rule as God. Sound familiar? That's your I am. His name was changed to who he is on the inside, which is the I am. Now, here's what's interesting. Sarah is the word contend or strive or persist. Now, remember it said Sarael. So the word El, E-L, represents God, strength, mighty, or almighty. So here Israel means to contend, strive, and persist as God. Israel also referred to an undivided kingdom and undivided people. So think about that. We're talking about the mastering of the duality of the mind, right? And so Israel comes from the word Sarael, which means he will rule as God. But Israel also refers to an undivided kingdom. It means single. A single kingdom, an undivided people. Body of Christ all together as one, undivided people. So contend and struggle, is sarai, means to prevail. The word with means together with or equally. So when you're with something, or you're with someone, it's equally. God obviously means divine or mighty. And man, it says you contended with God and with man. Man is mankind. Mankind is human. So Jacob contended with God and with man, and he prevailed, which means he endured, overcame, or it means to be able. Okay. So 27, it says he's asking, who stands out? Who are you? Remember he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. So that means he's saying, who are you? What stands out? What is your identity? He's asking him who he is. He's asking him who his character is. Jacob, the character, supersedes or replaces the I am. That's what he was doing. Jacob was saying, I'm not the I am. I'm a character. It's asking who is your identity, and it's saying Jacob. So what is your name? Who are you saying you are? Are you saying that you're Stephen or Jacob? That's not the I am. That's the character. The visible one supersedes the mind of Christ within. It's the divine. 28 means no longer the visible one, but the God one. So again, when he says your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, he's saying that you're no longer the visible one, but the God one. You're no longer the outer man. You're no longer the outer senses, but you are the God man. You are the inner man. You are the spirit. So remember, Sarah means to contend, strive, and persist. El, El, Sarai El, means God, strength, mighty, and almighty. So Israel, remember, it means Sarael, which means he will rule as God. So this is this is who you are. This is your I am. You will rule as God. For you have contended equally with the divine and the carnal man and have endured and overcome. So Israel is to contend and to persist and rule in strength as God. That's who you are. You're no longer going to be known as the character, but the undivided I am. He gave him a new name. I have here, when you release the old self and assume the new identity, which is the state of the wish fulfilled, you are renamed. You no longer strive, you rule with God. You no longer ask, you declare. So you need to make that decision. You need to decide, who am I? Who am I going to be? Who am I choosing today? Are you choosing the new identity? Are you stepping into the I am? Or are you going to live out today as the character, the external man, the man of outer senses? So when you step into your new identity, you are renamed. But you have to decide, who are you? Who am I being today? Am I the vice president of the company? Am I the poor beggar on the side of the road? Am I the person who doesn't have any money? Am I the person that's missing my special person? Who am I? Am I in love? Does everybody love me? Does everybody want to be my friend? That's who I am. You can be whoever you want to be. But when you do, remember, you get renamed. Just like when you get a new job and you go from manager to director, or you go from chef to head chef, or you go from director to senior director. You get a new title, you get a new name, and now you are in that position. So step into your position, step into your I am. What is your identity? Who are you? You have to step into it. Recognize yourself as the I am. And remember, it's not about, let me say it this way. I know I keep saying step into it, but it's really about resting in it. Resting in it is who you are. Because you don't have to strive and struggle to be the I am. You have to strive and struggle to not be the I am by creating labels. You create labels around yourself. Who am I? Well, I live in this place. This is my name. This is my education. All of those labels create the character. And the character is the outer man of the senses. So I ask you today, who are you? Who are you? Step into that identity, but you do it by resting. Recognize who you are. Remove all the labels and step into that I am. And recognize you've always been aligned. There's nothing for you to do. There's nothing for you to get. There's nothing for you to heal. Because you are I am. You're already aligned. You already are that person. You just have to believe it. You just have to know it. Recognize who you are. You're not Jacob anymore. You're Israel. Remember that. Step in and get renamed.